living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Dipping your toes into the dating pool can make you feel like you're way over your head, especially if you're older and you didn't think you'd ever have to date again. So how do you go about making sure that you get those feet wet? Welcome to Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm Sarah Medley, your host. Today we're going to talk about dating over 50. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. So joining today is Nancy Anderson, the Outreach Director and Volunteer Program Manager at AARP Montana. Thank you so much, Nancy, for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
No matter what life circumstances that cause us to be single again, it's not an easy transition. How does a person know when they're ready to try dating again?
Well, Sarah, it's important to have companionship in your life. And even though dating after 50 can be tough, it can offer some big rewards for a more satisfying life. 1 in 3 people between the ages of 50 and 80 say they lack regular companionship. And as you might suspect, the pandemic has increased the potential for social isolation in adults. 2/3 of adults say they feel more isolated and lonely than they did before COVID. This is especially true of people who live alone. And we know that loneliness can increase the risk of heart attack, dementia, and stroke among other health issues. So it's important to your emotional and physical health to find someone to spend time with. And it's not easy to enter that dating pool after the loss of a spouse, the end of a marriage or a breakup. But the good news is that you're not alone. New research from AARP shows 56% of single grandparents are either dating or open to the possibility. And many are game to have family members help make a match. I've really enjoyed watching AARP's video series called Date My Grandma, where the grandkids select a potential date. These grandkids are so thorough. They begin the process by interviewing the grandparent to identify what they want in a potential suitor and to identify what their deal breakers are. Then they watch introductory videos from the suitors and follow up with in-person interviews. And although these segments are lighthearted and sweet, they demonstrate a reasonable, objective thought process that makes sense in choosing a companion. They're really great.
Wow. So those videos are on AARP's website?
Yeah, Date My Grandma. And they have some that are Date My Grandma and some that are Date My Grandpa. And the kids are just a riot.
Oh, delightful. I'm looking forward to watching that for sure. So is dating again and entering back into that world, that dating world, is it different for a widow or widower than it is for someone who's divorced?
It can be very different. Re-entering that dating world can bring mixed emotions for someone whose spouse has died. A widow or widower's reaction to the process is not the same as those who are divorced or have never been married. Surviving spouses may feel torn between honoring the memory of their deceased loved one and moving forward to find their own happiness. They may wrestle with feelings of guilt, feeling that they're cheating on their spouse who's passed away. Dating a widow or widower may take patience and a willingness to embrace the spouse that's passed, but it can be worthwhile and lead to a much happier life.
When the time is right, how does a person get started?
Well, as I mentioned, it's not healthy emotionally or physically to be lonely or isolated. So find new ways to make new friends. Engage in activities that you enjoy, a gardening club, a walking group, cooking, dancing, or art class. Take a class at your local college. Many offer lifelong learning options that appeal to older adults. There may be singles groups in your community, and volunteering for organizations that you support is a good way to meet people who have similar values. Also, online dating is a way you can use technology to meet people, but I know we're going to be talking more about that in a little bit.
So the fact that people are gardening and maybe dancing, etc., that's really a way to meet like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Good tip. So obviously those first few dates are important. So you break the ice and you start to get to know one another. What are some good non-intimidating first date ideas that are fun and allow for good conversation?
Well, we have to remember that we're still in this pandemic, so it's important to add some COVID safeguards in while you're getting to know someone new. Consider using video chat while you're getting to know someone better before you decide to meet, and communicate clearly about your preferences regarding vaccinations, masks, and social distancing. But doing something active on those first few dates really gives you the opportunity to take the pressure off while you're getting to know your date. Take a cooking class, a dance class, or schedule an interactive pottery or painting class. Even wine tasting could be fun. Go bowling or play mini golf, visit a museum, or even volunteer together. A date volunteering at the food bank or the animal shelter could be a fun and meaningful choice.
Well, clearly that first date can be nerve-wracking, especially when it's been years since the first date, right? What are some pointers for how to break the ice?
Well, be sure to engage in authentic conversation about lifestyle, values, and experiences so you can see how compatible the two of you really are. The number one rule is to stay with the tempo of the conversation and don't dominate. Doesn't hurt to keep politics and religion to yourself until you know your companion better. In this day and age, boy, you never know. Try to listen as much or more than you speak. Come prepared with 3 or 4 good questions that will help your date talk about themselves. And ask about your date's job or career and activities they may be interested in. Also be prepared with a couple of good stories about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. You always impart such great information. So we need to take a break, and when we come back, more and more men and women are turning to dating sites and apps to make connections. What does that look like, and how do you find the right one for you? We're going to talk about that and much more when we come back, so don't go away. Welcome back. We're still talking with Nancy. Thanks for staying with us. We're now going to be talking, Nancy, about online dating, and which is a common way now for people to connect. So what exactly does online dating entail?
Well, online dating has become a handy way for people to leverage technology and meet new people for potential dates. Some online dating services are free, but most charge a service. And it's important to do your homework and find a dating site or mobile app that you're comfortable with and that you can afford. The way it works is that a person selects a dating app or site and creates an account and a profile with photos, descriptive information, and match preferences, what they're looking for in a companion. And then they'll get matches from mathematical formulas or algorithms based on the information that they put into their profile. It's, I think, a very tricky situation, but let's leave it to the technology to figure it out.
That's true, absolutely. So you mentioned an app and a dating site. So what are the differences between the two?
Well, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. One of the major differences is how you get to comb through those potential matches. Mobile dating apps deliver the matches to you, requiring you to pass or play before you see another. You might have heard about swiping left or right. That's what that is. Dating sites, on the other hand, provide a pool of potentials, and then you can sort through them and even return and view a candidate repeatedly before you make your decision. So both have benefits, but the trade-off is really your time. Do you have the time to pore over a lot of profiles, or would you rather have some matches suggested to you?
So I think you answered this in part, but how does someone find an online experience that really fits their needs and their personalities?
Well, as I said, you need to do your homework. Some sites are tailored to age groups. There are various sites for those over 50, over 60, and older. Some sites are interest-based. Some have religious affiliations. There are even some apps that are focused on outcome, for instance. Are you only looking for companionship, or do you want to get married? AARP has several articles on our website about online dating, and they compare and contrast many of the most popular sites.
It almost sounds like a Consumer Reports for dating apps for people over 50.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
So I have seen some dating sites advertised on television, and they talk about success stories and go on and on about a happy couple that met. Is that kind of experience common? Or are these sites really kind of advertising something that isn't that common? People don't find their true love very often.
You know, there are lots of legitimate success stories. I read a survey recently that shows that about 40% of couples these days meet online. 40%. I was stunned. Online dating has become a common option, no matter what your age.
That is shocking, 40%. I can see why you would be surprised by that. So if someone wants to use a dating site or an app, how do dating profiles work, and what should people think about including or not including, for that matter?
Well, your dating profile should be upbeat and reflect your personality, your interests, and highlight a sense of humor. Keep it short and be honest. It's not a resume. You don't need to list all your jobs or all your degrees. And it's especially important to avoid negativity in your profile. Focus on what you want in a partner, not what you don't want. Mentioning hobbies is good. Studies show that if you mention hobbies like cooking and dancing and gardening, those are the profiles that get more responses. Also, profile pictures, including a cat or dog, attracts other animal lovers and helps you to stand out. And be sure to proofread and make sure there are no grammatical or spelling errors. You don't want somebody to see that.
That reminds me of an application. You certainly don't want that either. Or a resume.
Yep.
You don't want typos. So this is an important question. Are there red flags that people should really look out for when using a dating app or a dating site?
Yes, you need to be careful. Even though online dating has become so popular, it does have a downside. And we all know that cyberspace is full of scammers. These bad guys are eager to take advantage of lonely hearts, and they are master manipulators. And they're patient. A more typical swindler will try to score quickly, but a romance scam is based on building a relationship with you and gaining your trust. As in any scam, the goal is always to get your money, steal your identity, or both. And romance scams are definitely big business. In 2020, the reported losses totaled $143 million. And those were just the ones that were reported. There's lots that go unreported. And that was the most for any type of consumer fraud. The con works something like this. You post a dating profile and you get a promising response. The person's good looking and smart and funny. They claim to live in another part of the country or to be abroad for business or on a military deployment. They seem totally smitten with you and they're eager to get to know you better. They may suggest to move your relationship to a private channel like email or a chat app. And over time, as you feel yourself growing closer, you make plans to meet in person, but something always comes up. At some point, you'll get an urgent request for money. And that's how you know it's a scam.
Oh my gosh. And if you're not paying attention, you would give your money to that individual. Right. I had no idea, Nancy. Thank you so much. We have to pause for another break. But when we come back, we're going to talk with a couple who found themselves single after 50, looking for a second chance at love. So let's learn how they found their match. So stay with us. Welcome back. Joining us now are Tad and Kim Bishop, and they're here to tell us their love success story. So thank you both so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
You are welcome. So I'm going to turn to you first, Tad, and ask you the question, what age were you when you became single again? And then we'll go to Kim.
Okay, yeah, I was 52. Yeah.
And I was 47.
Okay, so similar in age when you both became single. So everything that I read tells us that regardless of past relationships, it's got to be hard to put yourself out there again after you've either been with another spouse for a long time and lost them through death or divorce. So when and how did you, Tad, know that you were ready to put yourself out there and start dating again?
Well, I knew I was pretty much ready to start dating pretty quick for a couple of reasons. My previous marriage had been cold for a long time, and so I felt like it was, time to, well, one, I didn't know how long it would take to find someone else, to get married, and I didn't want to waste a bunch of time. So I was ready to start dating pretty quick after the divorce. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. You were clearly on a path for divorce probably long before it actually happened and was finalized. So you were ready.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. So how about you, Kim? What's your story?
For me, I knew that I needed to be healthy and settled as a single person first, and it actually took me a few years to be ready. I also did have a divorce that took a long time to get through, so I wanted to be single, officially single, and then it took me a while after that. I just wanted to take some time to, as a Christian, I wanted to work on my relationship with Jesus. That was important to me. And I also wanted to know that I could have good judgment and trust again. So it took me a little while.
So that little while, is that a year, 2 years, 3 years?
It was several years, actually, about 5 years for me. So.
Okay. Yeah. So a little different situations for both of you. So Kim, while you've got the mic, let's talk about your expectations in the very beginning. So when you got on a website, I'm assuming, or a site, were you really looking for love, or were you looking for companionship, or both?
Well, definitely long-term love and a companion for sure. But I didn't honestly have tons of expectations. I didn't know what to expect. I had been a young bride the first time, had my children young. And so this was just, it was like walking back into junior high in a way. But early on, just even in the profile, setting up a profile, making sure that I put myself out there in an honest way, that there were, so that whoever I would converse with would know where I stood on things. So that kind of removed some of the fear of it, but yeah, it was a little fearful, didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. So definitely looking for love, yeah.
That's good. Well, clearly you found it. So let's switch to you, Tad, and ask you the same questions. So what about your expectations in the beginning?
Yeah, I really didn't have any expectations. I really didn't know what it would be like, at age 52 or, getting back in the dating scene. I knew it wouldn't be like it was, when I was younger by any means. For a lot of different reasons. I did, however, I knew kind of what I wanted over the age or time, and with my age, I knew what I wanted in a spouse, or
In a dating relationship.
Yeah, and in a dating relationship, I wanted to stay faithful to my faith, my Christianity, to be honest and straightforward, and I didn't want to have sex before marriage, which is kind of different, I guess. But I just really wanted a solid relationship, so that's kind of how I was looking at it. I just wanted something really solid, and take my time and make sure that I was serious about. I wanted to be serious about
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I'm going to switch to you now, Kim, and we've got about a minute left. So how did you know that it was the right match? So one, where did you meet, and how did you know it was the right match?
We met on eHarmony. Knew it was the right match. So number one, to settle, Ted actually went way out of his way to come for our first date. He was on a long trip from Colorado to Nevada, and he went a long way out of his way to make sure that we could meet in person, just to settle that, if this was a mutual thing that we wanted to pursue. And that actually really impressed me, because that was something I had asked, that we not take forever to meet, that we could just figure that part out and move on if we needed to or whatever. I actually suspected we were a match earlier on than he did, just because I was seeing a lot of character.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that time frame went really fast, and we're out of time right now, but thank you both so much for being on our show and telling your story. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And I also want to thank Nancy for being on our show as well, and to you for watching. So we'll hope you'll come back again and join us next week. Until then, stay fit, stay well, stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. Take care, everyone.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health in partnership with AARP Montana. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the Healthy Living for Life logo. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.